Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Holly, aka Scoring the Barber. I'm here with my business partner Justin, aka Hair by J Farrow. We have been in business together for a little, almost 2 years. Yeah, it'll be 2 years in March. I know I talked a little bit in my first video about how Buchanan's became Buchanan's, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper into that and bring my business partner on here to talk about his journey, how we met, the funny stories about the shop and the grind that built this place and this community that we have now, and how we work together and how we're complete fucking opposites.
Total opposite.
Complete.
Yeah.
And I think you've been doing hair for what, 7 years now?
Yeah.
I think we were trying to do the math earlier, and it's so hard because when you do hair, it all just jumbles together. And it just becomes one solid year, and you sit back and you're like, oh fuck, I've been doing hair for a long time. So I wanted to get started with Justin's story, and the biggest thing, I'm a huge advocate on salon and barber culture. I am tired of people getting treated like crap. I'm tired of what I call hair babies, which are people that get fresh out of hair school, and the way that they've been treated, and the red flags that you should look for and to be aware of, because you don't deserve that. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing hair, you deserve respect. So I wanted to get into a little bit about your story, how you got to, what made you want to do hair? I guess that's what I'm saying. What made you want to do hair?
Yeah, so Instagram. I followed a really cool barber on Instagram for a while when I was 19. And when I was living in South Florida at the time, I lived right down the street from barber school.
Yeah.
And so I was working as a bartender, and I was just kind of over that whole lifestyle. And so I went to the barber school and signed up. And that's what got me into it.
Yeah. Did you ever, I know me, I played basketball, I played volleyball, I was very tomboy, hair just wasn't in my brain. I was very artistic. I loved art.
Yeah.
And I loved music, but...
You never saw yourself.
Yeah, I never saw myself doing hair. So I think that's so funny, because you talk to a lot of other people and you ask them, hey, why did you decide to do hair? And it's always such a funny story, because it's never oh, I've always loved doing hair.
Yeah. No,
it's just that one moment where it just clicks out of nowhere, and I just think that's bizarre.
Yeah, I had a friend that went to cosmetology school, as my roommate at the time, and when she signed up, I was like, oh, well, I've been following this barber, and I thought that would be a very cool profession. So
yeah.
And same, I just was kind of into an artsy.
Yeah.
I like to paint.
Absolutely. So so you started school around was it 2014, 2015? When you started your school?
2016.
Yeah, and so barbering then was just starting to go wild, and you were close to Miami, correct? When you started going to hair school, but you're from. Let's clarify. You're from Ringgold, Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Chattanooga area.
So me and Justin are both from Ringgold, Georgia. Never knew each other.
Yeah.
Growing up, never knew each other. And when I say Ringgold, Georgia, if you're not from North Georgia, then you don't realize how small it is. North Georgia is super small, and it is wild that me and him never crossed paths, because I think he was 1 year older than me in my class. We never met.
No, we had a lot of mutual friends.
Yeah, a lot of mutual friends, but never met. So the universe kind of works in a funny way. So I'll get to the story. So I knew of Justin. So the hair world, I'll get started. The hair world is a tight community. And I knew of Justin before I was even a barber, but we never spoken. Never spoken. I think we followed each other on Facebook.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And I worked with a girl named Kelsey that knew Justin. And they were best friends, and she does hair. And she would always talk about him and all this stuff. And this is before I was a barber. I never thought anything of it. And then I came to Dirty City, and I met him. And it was so weird, because like I said in the first video, we were such a busy shop. There was never time to have a community or a close, tight-knit work team. It was just go, 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 go. And you were so exhausted that you just left. And we all had each other's numbers, like I said. And when it came time for our boss to kind of, like, he was trying to figure out what he was going to do, if he was going to sell. He was selling it for way too much, which was insane. I think he wanted to sell it for what, 60?
Or 20, but it was
60 or 20 grand, which nothing in that shop was worth any of that. So I think at some point we were sitting at the bar. You remember we were sitting at that bar?
Yeah, we were having lunch one day. And
yes.
we were trying to figure out what our next step was. And I don't think either one of us really wanted to go to another shop.
Anywhere else. But it wasn't only that. It was the reputation our shop was starting to get was just not good. Our boss was trying, it's during politics season.
Yeah.
And our boss was very, very, very strong about what he believed politically.
Yeah.
And he would also try to put it out there on Facebook and Instagram, and it was starting to hurt our clientele. So we were already trying to, figure out where we're supposed to go before we even tried to sell it. And we were sitting together at that bar.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we both started talking about something that we wanted, and we were like, Art Deco vibe, a place where you could sit down and just relax, like an upscale, not that locker room feel.
And something that both men and women were comfortable into.
Absolutely. And we wanted a professional environment. I think me and Justin have both been burnt. I want him to get into the story about how he got a lawsuit from a non-compete.
Yeah, girl.
And how he told that bitch to eat her shit. Yeah. I really want to protect you from non-competes. Don't sign them. They're ridiculous. Make sure you know the laws in your state before you sign one. Make sure you read the whole thing. Because how much did that lawsuit cost you?
About $1,200.
Yeah, and you were literally broke.
It was, yeah.
Broke, credit card debt and everything else. Yeah. So why don't you start with, you don't have to say names or anything like that, but start with the kind of shop that you were working at and what led you into leaving and what led that lawsuit.
Yeah, so when I first got done with barber school, I had no idea how to cut hair. I'd just moved back to Chattanooga, and I found a lady on Craigslist who was looking for apprentices, and she had Vidal Sassoon's experience, and it was really a great program. So I started working with her in 2017, and it was a very intensive training. We did 3 haircuts a week outside of our work schedules, and they were very specific cuts. So we did that for almost 2 years, and about halfway through the apprenticeship, she had asked us to sign non-competes, which at the time made sense. I'm getting all this information, all this training from a Vidal Sassoon professional, and so I agreed because at the time I really didn't plan on leaving there, and it was a 2-year non-compete. So I did that, and then...
Real quick, though, did you read the contract, or were you just trusting, or did she
I was trusting her. My parents read the contract.
And what did your parents say?
So my parents were like, absolutely not. Do not sign this thing. But, I just thought she was a really cool person.
Yeah. She's very charismatic.
I looked up to her a lot. She was very knowledgeable. And then... So I signed it anyways because I really didn't see myself working anywhere else in Chattanooga. I figured, well, if this don't work out, I'll just move back to Florida. And so about a year after I signed the contract, things just started getting weird. We weren't getting paid. Just a lot of broken promises. And so at the end, when I finally decided to leave, my thought process was okay, well, she can't pay us. So there's no way that, she can expect, this contract can't hold up.
Yeah. And how much were you making a week, would you say, when that was going on?
Pennies and doll hairs. Nothing.
Pennies and doll hairs.
Absolutely nothing. I remember I had worked 14 days straight and was required to be there. And this was, far enough into the apprenticeship where I was, working some days on the floor and not assisting. And 14 days straight. I think I had made, it was under $200. And I was like, no, like I can't, like I
Were
can no longer do
you
this.
living with your parents in Ringgold at the time, or were you staying
Yes.
with your significant other, or
A little bit of both, but there was no way. I mean, I was working.
There's just no way you could
Yeah, I
pay
was working
anything.
at Buffalo Wild Wings part time, and then also working there full time.
So you were exhausted.
Oh, it was. I mean, I did not stop. Yeah.
Did you ever in your mind thought like, I don't know if I want to do this?
Multiple times, even like just throughout my whole entire journey. You know, there's been several points in my career where I've thought like,
yeah, well,
I
it's
could go
hard.
do something
It's
different.
really hard.
Yeah, but especially in that time period. I mean, yeah, I definitely was thinking of other outlets for sure.
So when you made the decision, I don't care what happens to me, I'm leaving. How did where we met, where we worked before we opened Buchanan's, how did you find that, and what made you think, okay, maybe she won't come after me, I'm going to try to go work there anyways, because you knew what the non-competes.
The consequences were,
yeah. Did you think that she'd be like, oh, well, he doesn't have any clients anyways because he was...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that, and then also, like, I was so broke, I did not have a choice. Like, I could not stay there anymore.
Did you get like a letter in the mail? Like, how did this come?
So
or
I
did
was working,
someone serve you papers while you were at work?
Yeah, so I was working the North Shore. That's where I went to work after the non-compete. And then that was just, I don't know, maybe 2 miles up the road. And I got a letter in the mail that she was suing. She was suing us for 20 grand. And mind you, I don't think I made 20 grand in the 2 years that I worked there. But so I got a letter in the mail that she was suing me for 20 grand, and it was all for the education, which, like, I get it to an extent, but also, like, you know, if you can't pay your people, if you can't take care of your team, like, you can't expect people to be held to this contract.
No.
And so I talked around to lawyers. There was another girl that was going through it with me at the same time, so we kind of teamed up together. We got a lawyer.
Was there just one, or is there multiple? Just one other girl?
There was just one other girl, yeah. And so we teamed up, got a lawyer, and the whole ordeal costed us about $1,200. But Tennessee is a right-to-work state. And then there was a few other things. There was a few other things in the deal, I think, that, like, really, once our lawyer found out, he was like, okay, like, there's no way. Like, this is totally illegal. She cannot do this. Like, this contract is null and void. Like, it does not exist.
Did she send anything back once your lawyer sent, like,
Yeah, she sent us back that she wanted $1,000 for her hurt feelings. And so we told our lawyer to send her a letter, saying we'll send her a box of tissues for her tears.
I love that.
Yeah, that was the end of that. I haven't heard from her since. Yeah, so it worked. But it did cost me $1,200. Which, hey, I got $1,200 worth of Vidal Sassoon's education. A lot less than what other people pay. Yeah.
I will say Justin he can take any negative situation and turn it around positive. So take your lemons and make lemonade.
Absolutely.
And I think he is the example of that. And I think that's why we work so well, because I am like fire.
Yeah.
I will lose it. And he just takes things with grace, and he's like, Holly, we're going to calm down, and we're going to take this situation, and we're going to dissect it. And I really think that we are such a good combo, because we are complete opposites.
Yeah, it works well.
I mean, we are definitely complete opposites.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we weren't even friends when we did this. Like, we barely knew each other. We were taking a complete risk. And mind you that this was when a really intense election was going on. This was 2020 when we were talking about doing this. And I had some money in savings.
Yeah.
And
I had nothing.
Yeah, you had nothing. And we were trying to figure out how we can make this work. And this is another story for another time, I had this modeling deal that was supposed to happen where I was supposed to be getting this big chunk of money.
Yeah.
And we were kind of waiting on that and waiting to see if the world was going to shut down again before we were starting to look. So fast forward 2021, we're like, okay, we're going to look for a spot. My modeling thing fell through for some reasons. I'll get into that later. But I was like, once I decide I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I was tired of working for crappy people that did not know how to run business and were not black and white with what they wanted. And once we figured out the world was not going to close back down again, like, we were all gung-ho.
Yeah, we went for it.
So we took out, I think, Square is great. We took out Square alone. I think we took out, what, four grand each?
Yeah, we started this business with $8 grand.
Yes, and my parents, I had it was my husband now. We were engaged at the time, and they're like, okay, well, we have a little bit of money saved aside for your wedding. We could put this towards the shop. So I talked to my fiance, and he's like, you got to do this. My fiance is amazing, and he's always been supportive of this career. He was gung-ho about this. Actually, this was his idea when I told him about what me and Justin talked about. He's like, y'all got to open together. You got to do this. And so he was gung-ho about that, which was amazing. And I think my parents gave me another $4 grand, and we went into this business, and no debt.
Yeah. We
have 0 debt for the shop.
Yeah, I mean, the first year we had the little loans that we did have. Everything was paid back. In the first year.
This couch we're sitting on, it was in Justin's apartment.
Yeah, I've got a nice little beer stain.
Yeah. I believe this came from, like, a resale shop. Like, you can open a shop for less than $10,000. And then we were also really picky about what building. We wanted parking. Mm-hmm. That was a huge thing because Chattanooga, if you're not familiar, is kind of like a little small city, but parking's getting kind of hard, and people here do not like to walk. It's not like bigger cities where people don't care to walk a block or two to get to where they're going.
There's no public transportation.
Yeah, we don't have that. We have Uber.
Yeah.
That's it. And sometimes it takes like 20 minutes to wait for an Uber.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to do construction at all. We couldn't afford it.
We needed a nice space at a decent price.
Yeah. We needed a perfect shell. So this was so hard. And we had a budget. We had a very small budget of what we wanted to pay for rent. And we kept looking. I think we looked on the North Shore, and something didn't feel right, so we didn't sign it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, St. Elmo. I used to work in St. Elmo. That place was popping, and it's hot. We need to get in there. Nobody knows about it. And he looked it up, and Justin found, I think it's the other unit that the yoga studio's in that's a lot smaller. Yeah. And we called the number. Was it the landlord or the realtor?
It was a realtor, yeah.
And he was like, oh, I got this place. And we came and looked. And there was a safe. And we already knew that we wanted Art Deco.
Yeah, it just worked.
We knew that we were calling it Buchanan's. Yeah. And we walked in, and it felt like home.
Home, yeah. No, yeah. It was great.
So I think I called my parents.
Yeah.
And then you got your parents here to come look at it. And then I somehow, in that process, we signed the lease. And then we're getting ready to sign the lease. And Justin sends me a text, and he says, girl, I love you.
But I ain't doing it.
But I can't do this. I'm scared. Basically. And I looked at my fiance, and we were driving. And I remember this. We were on the interstate. And I was like, where you at? And he's like, I'm at the bar. Tacos and drinking.
I was at Mezcala. Drinking a margarita.
And I looked at Deb, and I was like, we can't let him back out. We can't back out on this building. And so I was like, you got to drive me. You got to drive me to this bar. I remember driving to that bar.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there. And we were both like, by the end of it, drunk. And I said, I'm going to sign this lease. Yeah. Your name doesn't have to be on it.
Yeah.
But we're doing this, and you're going to be my business partner.
Yeah. We did make an agreement.
And
it worked out.
It worked out. And not only that, the bartender is now my client.
Absolutely. And also, thank you for signing that lease. We wouldn't have this wonderful space.
And so when we got in, backtrack, the boss ends up finding out that I'm opening up a shop, and he lets me go.
Yeah.
And Justin's still working, and I said, keep quiet, keep working. Yeah. And Mitchell, who owns Anchor Barber, was like, hey, and he worked with us, but he was opening up a shop too. Everybody was leaving. Like, it was crazy, but I won't get into detail. That's for another time. It was time to go.
Yeah.
And Mitchell opened Anchor Barber, and he sent me a text and was like, hey, you can come here. Don't worry about rent. Like, you can stay here until your shop is open. And that was just amazing. I'm highly grateful for
Yeah.
that. And we worked our butts off when we got the keys here.
Yeah, I mean,
Not in day.
Yeah, you were
like
fired.
you were working all day. I was fired.
Yeah, I was working my normal schedule and having to keep quiet.
Yes.
And having to meet you here.
Yes,
in the
and
evenings.
listen to our boss talk crap about me all day.
It was rough.
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, that was a long 2 weeks, for sure.
But I mean, if you think about it, no shop is opening in 2 weeks. Your family came and built these stations with
we
my
busted it
stepdad, my fiance, his buddy Nick traveled all the way from not Baltimore, but
Like Pennsylvania?
not
Or somewhere up north, I don't know.
close to Baltimore.
Yeah.
An amazing tattoo artist, but he was like, I'm going to come down and I'm going to help you. And he came down, helped us paint the walls here and all that stuff. And we just had a community of clients, family, friends, put love and effort into this place. And you could feel it when you come in the doors.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And we had the coolest clients. I've never worked at a place where I feel at home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's a weekend. I don't care if it's a weekday. I love all of our people that work with us.
Yeah, we've got a great, solid team here. It's fantastic. Our clients love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a wonderful spot to be.
I want to express, like, what the kind of environment that Justin and I wanted to build for, I hate saying employees. I want to say renters because
renters.
I respect them so highly. I don't see us, like, as bosses. We kind of just are landlords.
Yeah.
If you want to say it, yeah,
yeah.
we're landlords. And I think that really works for us. We're very picky. We haven't put out ads that we're looking for people. We've posted on social media.
A couple times.
But that, I think it's clients that have brought people, word of mouth, and people that come through the door. I didn't want to seek people that were working out of the shops because I wanted them to work here.
Yeah.
I wanted them to believe in what we wanted, our environment, and I wanted it to be natural and organic. And it took us, 2 years to fill all of our stations?
Yeah, I mean, right out, we just filled the last one, so
yeah.
2 years.
And it's just respect. Everyone's an adult, and they come in, they make their own schedule. If there's an issue, which there never is, but if there's an issue or if there's something that needs to be done, you just got to communicate. And we never had that, and we just wanted a really safe environment where you felt comfortable. And it's just such a blessing, like when the people that we work for come to us and they're like, I just want to thank you for building such a safe environment for us to come and work, that they've never had it. And I think hearing that over time and hearing other people's stories that I've worked with in the past and what I've been through and what Justin has been through, I was like, I've got to speak up. I've got to speak up for these people. I have to help these hair babies, and I have to encourage these people in this community to keep moving forward and to not give up on hair. And also maybe it'll open the eyes of these people that have been treating their stylists bad. Like, you got to have that respect. If it wasn't for the stylists that we have here, Buchanan's couldn't be here. Like, it can't just be Justin and I together. Economy, prices go up. Like, rent always goes up every year. You depend on your stylist. And if you don't start treating them with respect, they're going to go just down the street. Everyone's opening up shops because we don't know how to communicate and we don't know how to act professional. And that can stop by just learning how to communicate and treat people with respect.
Yeah, girl. But I'm passionate.
Passionate. Cheers. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and tune in next week for Scorn the Barber. Bye.